Yes, sir. What's happening? What's happening? You already know it's your Carolina cousin, right way. Jake, hope all is well out there today. Yes, indeed. And we're going to get into Charlie Kirk and what does this have to do with Black America? So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things Charlie Kirk had to say, by the way. So let's go ahead and play that real quick.
A black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman. I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. Period. End of story. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
And this is the man that we're supposed to have sympathy for. Excuse me, empathy. And remind you, he wasn't a fan of empathy. He already said that.
Then it is to say you're actually not in pain. So let's just very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up new age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
So should we respect this man's wishes? But anyway, just so you know, he was murdered by a gentleman by the name of Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson, young man from Utah, conservative family. Father was a police officer. Father was the one who turned him in. Two-parent home, which, Charlie Kirk would all speak about, saying that, two-parent homes was the best homes for children to raise them to be productive citizens. It's kind of ironic that his life was taken by someone from a two-parent home. Amazing. Now, Utah only has, 2.1% black people? So I'm seeing where HBCUs shut down and targeted from threats. And what does HBCUs have to do with a murder that happened by a white male in Utah? That's just insane to me. And not to mention that, just as we saw in the clip, that Charlie Kirk wasn't a fan of Martin Luther King either. Now, it's amazing that people are trying to put him in the same light as Dr. King, and that's the furthest thing from me. Like, you can never in a million years put Charlie Kirk and Dr. King in the same sentence. That's insane. Now, the HBCUs that were being targeted were in Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Again, this has nothing to do with black people. So for some reason, you just gotta bring the blacks into it. And we're like, hey, man, that's y'all. That was a white-on-white crime. That ain't got nothing to do with us. So we can fall back from all that. You feel what I'm saying? But I actually want to take another look. I want to take a look at another video of Charlie Kirk. Let's go ahead and play that real quick and see what he had to say.
Is going to be, if I name these three names, could you tell me if they're guilty or not guilty? Okay, so the first one's going to be Carmelo Anthony.
Based on the facts available, absolutely guilty.
Okay. Now, O.J. Simpson.
Oh, absolutely guilty.
Okay. George Zimmerman.
No, self-defense. He was acquitted by a jury of his peers.
Now, if we're going based on facts, what makes the Carmelo Anthony and the George Zimmerman case different?
George Zimmerman was hunted at night by Trayvon Martin at 2 a.m., and the stand your ground law allows you to stand your ground up against people that wish you harm. Carmelo Anthony, with that Austin Metcalf, who he murdered in cold blood, said, "Don't touch me" at a high school track meet, said one thing he didn't like, took out a knife, and then brutally stabbed them to death. Those are not moral equivalents. George Zimmerman and Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony are on different planets morally. Don't ever compare them.
Really? So Trayvon Martin, teenager, walking with Skittles and a sweet tea. Really? These are the views that he shared. And again, why are we supposed to hold this person in such high regard? Why are we supposed to look at this man as a saint? And remind you, this is the same man who thought that George Floyd died from fentanyl and not from a knee on his neck, even though you had two medical examiners say the exact same thing, that yes, George Floyd did have drugs, fentanyl in the system, but he died from a knee on his neck. And this man, Charlie Kirk, says, no, it was a drug overdose. Really? And here's the thing. When I hear white supremacists speak, or suspect the white supremacists, because I'm not going to go out and say that he was, but I will say he was definitely suspected of being that. He was most definitely expected of being that. Now, my question is, looking at the situation that happened with Charlie Kirk being murdered, why is black violence so highlighted? Because remind you, before he was murdered, he was actually about to go in on the black community and black violence in the black community, and it's just boom, he just got hit as soon as he was about to go in. But my question is, why is black violence highlighted when historically the whites have been the most violent? Like, how do you think this country even got started? And if you consider, and remind you, looking at how this country got started, it was started with violence, and this violence was justified for the greater good of society. You can look at the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and slavery. All violent acts, all used for the quote greater good of society. But we just gonna let that go. Okay, cool. Now, here's the thing. When this type of violence happens with white on white crime, when it happens, it's always the guns, it's mental health. But on the flip side, when violent crimes happen in the black community, oh no, it's something wrong with that black community. It's something wrong with the black community. They are inherently violent. They are inherently criminals. Now, my question to you is, are we being judged equally? The answer, no. And if you look at the 13th Amendment, where it said that you are no longer, slavery is abolished unless you go to prison. And then you have the black codes that came in and said that anything that we do anything that a black person does basically is considered a crime. If you're walking on the wrong side of the street, crime. If you're walking down the wrong side of the street, crime. If you're sitting on the wrong side of the bus, crime. If you're on the wrong side of a lunch counter, crime. If you steal a lollipop from the store, crime. You're getting sent up the road for 10 years on the chain gang. So that on top of blackface, which is also used to project certain stereotypes into the society, now the media and those laws have now massaged the idea that black people are inherently criminal, to now where you get to a point where you can see a man kneeling on another man's neck for 9 minutes and say that man who was kneeling, that man was being strangled, was being choked out, he's guilty, he's wrong, and he died not from a knee on his neck, but because of drugs in the system. This is the effect of those type of thoughts, of those type of things. And it's really to a point where I really am done with the whole situation, to be honest with you. Because, again, I'm not going to hold somebody up as some type of saint when he obviously was the furthest thing from a saint. And then you saw what he said about Dr. King. Definitely not a fan. He wasn't a fan of Dr. King. And for you to put him in the same light as Dr. King, when Dr. King, he preached about justice, unity. This man preached about this man was preaching hatred, vile things. I'm not going to hold a man like that in high regard. Whoever does, they do, but I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this video right here. You know, again, Black America, this is white on white crime. This don't have nothing to do with us. So we just need to fall back, stay cool, and let them folk do what they do. You feel what I'm saying? But it's your Carolina cousin, Right Way Jay. Y'all tap in, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.